No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're getting awards. Somebody's getting an award. You want to see who's getting an award? Come on, guys. I want some energy here.
All right, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, no, not welcomed in Staten Island. Sure didn't seem that way. Booed off the stage, Staten Island style. Those are my friends and patriots out there. The only place they elect Republicans in this crazy city. At the borough's annual National Night Out Against Crime, the mayor showed up. And his speech lasted just under 60 seconds before he was drowned out and also whisked off the stage. Let me remind you, Staten Island was the one borough Mamdani failed to win last November, only getting about 23% of the vote. And this is as Mamdani is reportedly gaining a reputation behind the scenes as thin-skinned, hypersensitive to the public criticism. But despite that, he puts on that stupid smirk. And it's tough to handle sometimes to discuss. Let's bring in GOP New York City Councilwoman Joann Ariola and retired New York City Sergeant, founder of Blue Lives Matter New York City, Joe Imperatrice. Hello, my friends. Thanks for joining us this Friday. Joann, New York Post is citing unnamed sources saying Mamdani's attached to his phone, obsessed over how many likes he's getting on a post, and bad media coverage, like Queensborough President Donovan Richards, who slammed the DSA's white supremacy. Mamdani had a staffer ask him to take his ex-post down, which he refused, and it brought bad press. Does he even realize this is how politics goes?
Well, he's just so arrogant and so entitled and so used to being pampered. He has no idea what it's like to be the mayor of New York City and have your life exposed to everyone. The mayor is a bully, and every bully is a coward, and especially when they're challenged. And when we challenge the mayor, he, instead of, having that classic smile that he wears all the time, when he goes behind closed doors, he needs a safe room and probably a blankie, and that smile turns into a frown. But, we can't live by our likes and our dislikes, especially as an elected official. I know that myself. And a lot of people know that Mamdani is nothing but performative. He's straight out of central casting.
Sure.
And that's the problem here. He's not a mayor. He's an actor. He should go back to TikTok where he's failed, or back to his DJ business where he failed, and leave New York City alone.
Yeah, Joe, you saw that little bump in that we came in with from Staten Island. You and I are both fellow Staten Islanders, also fellow Italian Staten Islanders, and we know Mamdani just slapped all the Italians in the face. But I got to ask you, that was National Night Out, a lot of law enforcement and stuff there. How does the guy show up? And you've been putting your life on the line for decades in the NYPD. He just, we're at one of the lowest numbers ever, I think like 31K, and he just nixed like another class of 5,000. How does he even show up to law enforcement event when he's cutting cops left and right?
As Joann said, he shows up and he plays the part. He makes believe he's the mayor, but he is not the mayor. He does not act like the mayor. He does not command respect, and that's what we need. The one thing he fails of doing is leadership. There is no leadership qualities in Zohran Mamdani that the city of New York can rally around. As we heard in our hometown of Staten Island, they're not for it. They see right through it. And one step further, more importantly, Johnny, thank God Scotty Lebedo, who was there fighting for the city, fighting for Staten Island, is going to be okay. He had a health scare, but he's one of the patriots that's standing up against the nonsense, trying to rally the troops, that in hopes in 3 years and 4 months, we have real leadership sitting in City Hall.
All right, looking at the wider picture, we see what happened in Democratic nominee for Senate in Michigan, Abdul El Sayed. Charismatic, well-spoken, kind of like Mamdani's got some of the top Democrat 2028 contenders flocking to Michigan to show their support for him, including Pete Buttigieg, who's headlining a unity rally in Detroit later today. California Governor Gavin Newsom touches down tomorrow. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear was the first, hitting the ground the day after Tuesday's primary. Joann, what does this say to you about the power of these socialists within the Democrats' big tent?
Well, they're playing to their base, their TikTok base, their social media base. I mean, I saw that reel actually, and it caught my attention because I thought, who's this guy dancing to Aretha Franklin? And then I find out that he wants to be, a United States senator, and I thought, Oh my gosh,
Here.
this isn't somebody that I would vote for or my parents would vote for, because this guy is looking to be an influencer or maybe get, a spot on the Kardashians. I'm not sure which it is. But, people who are in the Democratic Party are afraid of people like this. So they align themselves with them because they don't want to be challenged by them.
I like
and that's
seeing
what it
them
boils
break
down to,
themselves
and that's
up.
why. Yeah, that's why they're being cannibalized.
Indeed.
The Democratic Party is being cannibalized by people like Abdul,
Kind of good for the Republican Party, I would say, in some ways. But hey, this is just breaking out. We were talking about that rally in Staten Island, Joe, where Scott Lebedo organized a protest, America's Artists, against Zohran Mamdani, and they booed him off. Scott had a confrontation, actually had a heart attack, almost died. But today, we're just getting this video in first here on Newsmax. Scott Lebedo apparently chartered a plane from his hospital bed, and he's flying this banner over New York City with a direct message to Zohran Mamdani. And the guy was almost dead. So back from the grave, you see this flying up and down New York City. This is actually a live view right now, first on Newsmax. Mamdani, stay away from ground zero. And I don't think you could be any more clear than that. Shocked a guy who just had open heart surgery. Took the time, but I guess he wants Mamdani to know that the booing's not going to stop. And New York City's getting a clear message from Staten Islanders led by Scott Lebedo. Joann, what do you think about this? I know both you guys know Scott. What do you think about this newest statement to Mamdani?
Well, certainly my prayers are with him and everybody else's, and those prayers are working because he's a tough cookie and you can't keep a good man down. But, Mamdani was booed in Staten Island. He was snubbed at a funeral service for a staff sergeant right here in Ozone Park. The families of people who lost their loved ones in 9/11 do not want him to be at the 9/11 services. There is a petition with well over 70,000 signatures. We meet with this family, Giovanni Galante. He's doing a great job. He lost his beautiful wife, Grace, on 9/11. And these families don't want to see a man who endorses people who say that America deserved 9/11, endorses people who say, oh, I didn't have a napkin, so I wiped my hands on the American flag. He's un-American. His wife is un-American. The people he surrounds himself are un-American. We are Americans, and we will not back down.
All right. Well, we got to leave it there, folks. Joann, next time you come on, I don't want you to hold back, okay?
I won't, I promise.
Kidding. Great stuff, Joe Imperatrice, Joann Ariola. Thank you both very much. Appreciate it.